Hi everyone. It looks like we don't have a lot of people in the room right now, so we're gonna have our own fun. Don't tell anyone. So how's your second day at SourceCon? It's good? Yeah, good so far, yeah. How is Austin, Texas? Good. So for those of you who are not from Austin, Texas, there are two things that you need to do here. First, you need to visit a food truck, and the second thing, you need to eat barbecue. So actually, we did the first part yesterday. There was a street food vendor or something. And I know there's a barbecue place in the back of the hotel, the Terry Black, that was good, so please try that one. Amazing. All right, thanks. Okay, so let's start then. Today I'm gonna talk about two uninteresting topics, the analytics and testing web responsiveness. But then I'll try my best to give you an interesting answer on how they are working together to help us in our testing career. Or in other words, how analytics become our friend in testing web responsiveness. All right, so the agenda for today, we're going to talk about the responsive web design, RWD, the challenges in testing the responsive web design. Then I'm going to go over the Google Analytics, and then I'll give you some real sample and the best practices. Usually, this speech is going to take me at least 45 to 50 minutes. I don't want to cut it short. I don't want to rush you, so, but I'll try to make it short into 30 minutes. I'll try my best. By the way, my name is Nguyen. I am a senior software engineer at Autodesk. I've been with the company for many years, and one of the current projects that I'm working on is Ava. This is a Autodesk virtual agent. That is a chatbot. It was built using the Watson API, a lot of machine learning concept, and a lot of data science concept. So if you are out there and you are working on a chatbot, please reach out to me so we can share our knowledge to each other. By testing the chatbot, usually we need to make sure and to test on two parts. The first one is the conversational part, and the second one is the application ends of the chatbot. As she said, I love leveraging technology to get things done instead of doing it manually. That is why I have developed an interest in automation and security for more than 10 years. For me, automation is not just about web automation or Selenium. It is also about web scrapper and the industrial robots, all kind of robotics that can help you to do your daily routine. I used to be a former staff member of the bot.net and Black Hat Works. So if you are familiar with automation, then you know this group of people. These are the ones who provide the concept of automations to help people to actually make money online. Right, you can actually make money online using automations. I have a few talks with other guys yesterday. It's kind of funny, like instead of asking for my email address or my LinkedIn, they asked for my Twitter. So I'm coming down to this conference knowing that I'm the only person who don't use Twitter. And it's like I don't really want to broadcast myself in a large group of people and only in just 140 characters. And because I want to keep a really close relationship with whoever in my networks. So here's my email address, my personal website, and my LinkedIn. Please send me an email if you have any questions regarding to this slide, or whatever question you have, like where is the best steak place in San Francisco office? I want to show you that one. I love food. Okay, so before we start, let me ask you a question. Raise your hand if you like testing web responsiveness. It's including, like testing on different browser, different OS combinations on different devices. Thank you for being honest. So I take that all of you don't or really hate testing web responsiveness, right? Including me. Yeah, it is true. It's a lot of things to do. So in today's age, the use of the mobile devices to access the internet has grown and become quite popular. That is why every internet user, they want to have a mobile version of the website. Now, responsive web design, in short, it is one website for on-screen size. It is an approach to provide the user with the same experience when viewing the same site on any devices. And the site needs to actually adapt and render based on the device's spec. For example, if a user switches from desktop or laptop to an iPad, then the website should automatically adapt and change the resolution based on the screen size of the device. Now, while designing a responsive website, the developer needs to consider the content, the design, and the performance of the website across all of the devices to ensure the usability. Again, this is a whole area of usability testing and UAT that I'm not going to dig into that one in this slide. However, when testing a responsive website, we need to pay attention and understand the floats, the proportional grids of a website, and we need to make sure that the images are flexible and will not display outside of the container. So if you take a look at the bottom right image down there, as you can see, the recommended words is not shown within the screen of the device. How many of you have seen this or similar issue before? Thanks. So, in fact, the wrong text placement, the hidden text or the partial hidden text are rated as the most common issue when testing on devices. Now, apart from the responsive website, we have another approach that's called adaptive web design. In this approach, there will be a specific design for each device. We don't really see this most of the time in the modern web design technology because it's going to take time and money to actually implement that. Now, in order to know more about that, take a look at the illustration above. So the top one is the responsive web design, and the bottom one is the adaptive web design. So the responsive web design, it will scale automatically when you reach a particular, when the browser resides. So adaptive web design, it only scales when you reach a particular breakpoint or viewport. However, debating between which methods to implement, that is a developer task. Our job is to make sure that the website works fine no matter the approach is. Now, why do I need to talk about that? There's one interesting thing that you may need to understand as a tester. There is a research that shows a company with an adaptive website will have a better speed test than a company with a responsive website. We're not talking about a small difference. It is 2 or 3 times different in terms of speed tests. And it gives rather less data for the user in order to deliver the user experience. So as a tester, we are understanding between those two will help us to plan ahead for our test case and the device coverage when we actually perform the test. Also, when we see a slowness on the website, we can actually recommend this approach to the developer or to the product managers. Okay, of course, when we talk about testing web responsive design, we need to talk about the challenges, right? It is not one, but a lot. So possibly the most challenging part of testing a responsive website is making sure that the website works as expected on multiple devices and platforms. But actual testing on all of the mobile devices out there in the market is not practical at all for most of us. And also, we need to account for the time that we need to read the results. And also, if you're working on the automation, then how long it will take you to implement the script, to test the script, and also run your script on the actual server, and then get the result and read the result from the automated test again. It's going to take a lot of time, right? For some of us, when we start testing a responsive website, we try to resize the browser window to fit a particular viewport or breakpoints. The technique is kind of helpful for a quick visual check, and it's helpful to identify major rendering issue in the early stage. However, testing on an actual device is a lot more complex. We need to use some gesture, some finger swipe, and we need to ping, zoom in, zoom out. Sometimes we need to rotate between the portrait and landscape mode in order to actually test the device to see if there's any problem with that. Because of that, we depend a lot on manual testing. Now, we all know that it is not feasible to test on each device, OS or browser combination out there. I know some of you are an expert in this field and you have a big selection of the device coverage, but are you sure you're going to test all of the permutations of those out there? And Does your team really have on of the physical device to test or to troubleshoot when we have an actual issue on a device? Now, because of that, we have SourceLab. SourceLab is one of the best cross-browser testing tools that provide both web and mobile application testing. They have over 100 operating system and browser combinations. In addition to that, they also provide a secure mobile application testing and support some kind of automation framework like Selenium and Espresso. So, SourceLab is a solution to help us with the responsive website testing, both manually and automatically. For this slide, actually, I wanted to cut it short, but I met some of you guys who are in the audience right now, and some haven't used SourceLab before, some are starting to use it. So I decided I'll keep this slide. Usually when someone or the organization asks me, why did I choose SourceLab for our team, I can always give them the top 3 reasons. So you can use my reason to convince your manager to use SourceLab anyway. Okay, so the first one is that SourceLab have a really big and helpful communities or support. Whenever I have a question, I just send an email to the customer service, then I am guaranteed to get a response like almost immediately, even that is a general question or technical questions. The second thing is that SourceLab supports some automation framework like Appium or Espresso. The framework allow us to test our website on more devices and browser than we currently possess. Now, sometime when we run into an issue on some particular device or physical device that we don't have, then we use SourceLab. They offer a large number of real devices, not emulated, the real devices. So we can use them, troubleshoot the issue, and then fix them, validate them on SourceLab website. However, before we use SourceLab, we used all the third-party tool before, but at the end we ended up with SourceLab for like almost 4 years. Before considering SourceLab, we need to think and do some research, and then weigh in other options as well, right? I'm not talking about a third-party tool, but then some internal method that we can do to reduce the cost and the time of testing web responsiveness. So let me repeat this one. It is not feasible to test on each device, OS, and browser combinations. Because of that, as a tester, we have to find a strategies and do multiple configuration of physical devices or possible permutation to test. In order to do that, we need statistics or analytics. Now, there's a lot of third-party analytics tracking devices out there like Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, Mixpanel, or Clinky. Beside our internal tracking methods, we use Google Analytics as a tracking device. To be specific, Google Analytics can help to track which browser, operating system, or devices from our user. This information really helps us to narrow down our testing scope. And from this slide, I'm going to tell you about 3 top features from Google Analytics that you will benefit from as a tester. Of course, you can use the same concept for other third-party tools as well, like Adobe's or Mixpanel. Now, the first part of the Google Analytics that is interesting is the overview of user. The first overview report, it breaks down the high-level statistic of user by time, device, and countries. Actually, these are the statistics that were taken from our current web product, so I did not make up this. Okay, so if you take a look at the user by time of the day, you can figure out when is the best time to deploy to production. Now, of course, we all know that, right? The product manager know that as well. But think about a time when you need to delay or postpone your deployment for like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Is that possible? Or do we need to deploy it and postpone it until tomorrow? By taking a look at this chart, you will know when is the best available time slot to deploy to production with less traffic. Now let's skip the session by country and move on to the session by devices. It shows the breakdown usage of a desktop, tablet, and mobile device. In my experience for this particular project, desktop activity account for about 60 to 70% of the visit, and the rest are for devices and mobile. For me, that is an ideal percentage, meaning that there's a lot of problem with the devices at the moment. It is not a fixed number. It depends on your project and how extensively you are supporting device. So if you take a look at the chart above, we only have 1.6% of users using devices to browse our web products. Now let me make a few adjustments. So for this chart, I'm pulling the data from the last 28 days. And here is the chart from the last 3 months. So what did you notice about the charts? Right, as you can see, the number of desktop user and mobile user had changed significantly. Now you're going to ask the question why the number of mobile user had decreased dramatically. There must be something changed with the website in the design, user experience, or there are some regression, or there are some bugs on the mobile that prevent the user from continue. Then we need to take a look at this time, and you need to actually spend more time at this time when you see this statistic. So using analytics will help us to figure out when you need to spend more time on testing the responsiveness of our website. Now let's move on to the next feature, which is the devices part. So this overview breaks down the statistic into a specific device that people use to access your website. The list of the devices here is really helpful to help you to identify the issue with the usability and sometimes functional testing. If you look at the chart above, you can see that Microsoft tablet has a lot more users than iPad and iPhone. Because of that, we have to strategize and spend more time on testing that particular devices over iPad and iPhone. Analytics 101 crash course. So before we continue, let me explain 2 terminologies here, conversion and bounce rate. So conversion is an action that is counted when someone interacts with your website and then takes an action that you define as valuable to your business. For example, when someone clicks on call customer service, or click on add to cart, or place an order. Bounce rate is a percentage of a single page visit when a user visits your website and then leave immediately. Now Google Analytics, they calculate and report the bounce rate of a web page, of every single web page, or of the overall website. So to determine an effectiveness of your website, we don't ask the question why the conversion rate is low, but we need to ask why my bounce rate is so high. Now if you take a look and think about that, your conversion rate is low because people come, they spend some time on your website and browse and maybe compare the price on your website. They did not add anything to the cart, and they did not purchase anything, and they leave. That is totally okay, that is totally fine. But when the customer come and leave on their first visit, it is highly unlikely that they will take any action on the website. There's a lot of reasons. Maybe it's a bug in the system, or slowness in the site, or not the right translation that they are looking for, a blank page, or any technical issue. You know, sometimes when we are bombarding users with a lot of advertisements, survey, or pop-up, they will leave the website on mobile devices. Now let's go back to the previous slide for the device. So the industrial standard, the acceptable bounce rate is about 45 to 50%. And remember, it is different on desktop and devices. So to be more specific, 26 to 40%, it is excellent. 41 to 50% average. 56 to 70%, it is higher than normal, but it's acceptable on some side. But more than 70% is really bad. However, when the bounce rate got low from 20 to 25, before you give it a go model, you need to take a look and actually see if that is true or not. And below 20%, that means the analytic implementation is broken. It is not a good sign. Okay, now let me give you one specific example. We used to have a really high bounce rate on the registration page, especially for the user using iPhone 6 and 6s. So after seeing the detail and the statistic, we actually check the website on iPhone 6 and 6s. And what we found is that instead of display the mobile view, as you can see on the right, somehow we display a full site view, as you can see on the left. For the user, when they come to our registration page on iPhone 6 and 6s, they're going to see the full site view. So they're going to click on the first name field, type in, and then swipe to the right, type in the last name, and then scroll down, click on the day and time pickup, and then the scroll down for the gender. It is a hassle for them. So they left. They don't want to continue on our registration page here. And we missed that because we talked at that time, not a lot of people are going to use iPhone 6 and 6s, but in fact, there was a lot of people using iPhone 6 and 6s. Okay, now let's move to the third feature of Google Analytics, which is the browser and the OS. This is interesting. It shows the main browser being used to access the website, and it also highlights the trends. Now, this report could also reveal how much effort you should put into making the website backward compatible. So if you take a look at the chart here, what did you notice about IE? You know, like we are in the 21st century, right? But then surprisingly, we found a significant number of visitors still browsing Internet Explorer. To be specific, 60% of them are using IE 11 and 40% of them are still using IE 10. So after a month launching this web product, we saw this statistic and we were wondering what happened there. So we tried to figure out it. So what we found out is that our web product is being used by a lot of IT department in some big companies. I'm talking about the enterprise customer. For them, they don't really have control over the system. What it means is that when they click on any links, it automatically opens in IE. Even though they can install Firefox or Chrome, but they cannot actually set them at default browser. So that is why all of the traffic are coming from Internet Explorer from them. So these results really help us to focus on making the website usable on the old system. Now let me give you another example here. It's kind of funny here. So I saw the chart and I brought it up to my manager. I told her that, hey, we have some Coq browser on the statistic, and she was like, Coq browser? So if you don't know, Coq is a really famous, popular web browser that's being used by a lot of Vietnamese people. We don't know about that either. It turned out it is expected because one of the web products we have is focusing on helping the customer in Asia, especially Southeast Asia. So we have a lot of traffic from Coq user and also a lot of different browser here, but because of the policy and the disclaimer, I need to hide them away. So without looking at the analytics, we will not be able to detect this high traffic to support this particular browser. A good thing is that Coq is based on Chromium core, so it is similar to Chrome, so it did not cause us a lot of trouble. So there you have it. Of course, there's a lot to explore in Google Analytics. And sometimes when you figure out which device browser you need to test less or test more, you can either do it manually or send it to Source Lab to run your automated tests. Did I convince you that analytics is your friends? Yes, no, a little bit. I hate you, Peter. I don't like it. Okay, so let me ask you another question then. Are you facilitating data and make data work for you in testing? If not, you should start now. So I have already shown you some of the real example of using analytics to facilitate the data and to reduce the cost and the time of testing web responsiveness. So there are a few key takeaways. You may need to develop a habit to check Google Analytics or Analytics on a regular basis. I'm not talking about 1 day, 2 days, a week. You can make it every 2 weeks. every month or every time or a few days after every production deployment. Don't check it right after production deployment. The data is not reliable. The first time when you look at Google Analytics, it will be a lot of information, but try to get comfortable with analytics and data up there. And of course, not all of us are data literacy. Even for me, I don't really know what is the difference between percentage and percentile. So whenever you have a questions, or just consult your Google Analytics team and ask them for tricks and how to filter and a lot of things you can do with Google Analytics. And of course, the last one and the important ones, you need to communicate out your finding. So if you see there's a change in the analytics, or whenever you have a doubt, you need to discuss that with the tech stakeholder or product managers. Sometimes I know some of us, we take a look at the analytics, but then we say, okay, it's okay, maybe it's going to change in the future. But no, it will not going to change in the future. I know that this is not our duty to check analytics, but it is really helpful to see if there is any issue from the statistic that we have, so we can ensure the quality of our products. Thank you.
Anyone have questions for Peter?
No questions?
All right, if you're too nervous to ask them publicly, Peter is welcome to, are you okay with this?
Sure, yeah.
People can come find Peter after and ask him anything.
Sure.
They have to ask about analytics, about Ava, about Autodesk, about that browser in Vietnam.
Yeah, I put that slide up again. So that is my contact information, the email, the personal website, LinkedIn. You can send me an email asking anything you want. I will reply.
Did you hear that? He said you can send an email asking anything you want.
Anything you want.
Anything you want. I hope I see some interesting questions coming through to Peter. Everyone give a big round of applause for Peter. That was awesome.
Thank you.